What's up? Hello and welcome to another episode of the Be Fearless podcast. I don't know, for some reason, my system today, my computer's working like so slow. So if you saw me freaking out before we started, I am so sorry. But at the same time, I'm so excited because the Be Fearless podcast got picked up in Russia this month. So I am thrilled. I am so thankful, and thank you so much for supporting our content. This means the world to me. Today, we sit down with an elite business consultant, coach, and speaker. He is the host of the Ether podcast, and he is the disruptor in chief of his anti-mastermind. He is behind the revolutionary harmonious business architecture. Let's welcome the one, the only Sean Delaney. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Hello. And hey, let's give a round of applause for being picked up in Russia. Hello, Russia.
Yes. Hello.
Good on you.
Yeah, I love to see how the podcasts get picked through the year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, my podcast, by the way, is totally organic. I do not invest money in marketing or like promoting anything. So last year it got picked up in 32 countries, which was awesome. And then this year it has picked up by itself, just amazingly, and just love how the positivity, the message is getting received across the world, and it's exciting for me how it goes, right?
It's a testament to your talent.
Exactly.
You didn't buy access somewhere. You didn't buy market share. Pure talent.
Exactly. And I love to put the spotlight on my guest. And today is your turn, and I'm so excited about it. So, Sean.
Yeah.
Tell us, for the people that doesn't know you or just seeing your beautiful face for the first time today, tell us, who's Sean Delaney and who was he growing up and what was his dream?
Oh, I like that question a lot. So, who was I growing up? Well, I was the class clown. I was a little silly. I see humor everywhere, and figured I would just tell everybody why everything around me is funny. I wanted to be Gomez Adams when I grew up. My parents are like, that's not really a thing, to be some weird nut job blowing up trains in his house. But I just found some. I'm like, but that's a person who's loving life. Gomez is loving life.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, what does he do? And then I heard on the show that he was a lawyer. So somehow I got in my head that I was going to be a lawyer. I did go to law school. I don't like to start with that. I want people to grow to hate me, not hate me right off the bat. And so I did go to law school and realized it wasn't really the game that I thought I was going to be playing. And I said, I don't like when games turn out to not be the games that we thought they're playing, right? It makes us angry. The little kid in me is like, eh. So I didn't practice law after I passed the bar exam. I just went. The offers I got weren't it wasn't the kind of law I wanted to practice. It was for the opposite side of the equation. And I said,
Yeah.
I don't like a game where, one side is seeking a conviction, let's say, at all odds, and the other one is seeking an acquittal at all odds. And to the better team goes the judgment. Sometimes that doesn't seem right. Seems like I'm not in the right game. Anyway, so I went into business, and then it took off from there. But I will pause there because I think I answered your question. That's what I wanted to be. That's who I was growing up, and
that's what you wanted to be. That's awesome. I also wanted to be an attorney.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, my father was an engineer and an attorney. So he set the bar really high for me.
Yeah.
And I aspire for that. And then after I did my master's, I thought about going to law school, and then I realized, no, like This is no, because as a defense attorney, especially when you have defendants coming through,
Yeah.
let's say for arraignment court, this come there. I mean, you have to talk to them really close, especially when you want to find out something without the judge or the prosecutor listening anything, and they're coming out of the cell. You know,
Yeah.
with that smell of whatever they bringing with them, and I was like, no, that's not for me.
Face to face with a caged animal. You were just in the cage a minute ago, and I believe they were right to put you in there. I got to defend you now. I don't like this.
But at the same time, I was like, how is the best way for me to help people?
Mhm.
And but I love that you went for it and you passed the bar, and then after that you realized that your true calling to help people was a different one. Now let's put the things in perspective. You went into business after that. How everything started?
So I ended up. It was kind of a quick journey from one little position to the next till I tried to figure out, what does a lawyer do when they don't want to be a lawyer? How do I reinvent myself at a fairly young age? And I ended up getting into a corporation. I started at MetLife. They brought me in because I had a fair bit of knowledge. I had worked somewhere with rewriting HR manuals and that kind of thing. And they said, well, we don't know. They had a team that was designed to be like an internal McKinsey that solved the most intractable problems that they had there. And it was put together by a Navy SEAL who was working there. He was also an engineer, like incredibly smart guy, but multi-disciplined, you know? He said, I don't have an expert in HR kinds of things who also is a lawyer, who, by the way, also was a stand-up comedian at some point. He's like, you're a whole cookie we've never seen before. There's nuts in there, I'm pretty sure. Like, you're crazy. So let's bring you in here and we'll add you to the team. So they hire me and they say, all right, go fix the disability product or start helping the disability area. I said, but I don't know the first thing about disability. And he said, no, but there's an entire department over there of people who are experts in disability and they can't figure themselves out. So
go and help them out.
Like, you have the. So I went in and
By the way, this is the month of the Disability Employment Awareness Month.
There you go.
Hello.
You're serving multiple disciplines here.
Yes. So that's amazing that you went in and helped that department. I'm pretty sure that you made groundbreaking initiatives and you did amazing. But then how from there, because I know you have worked with different companies. You said you work with MetLife, you work with what was the other one?
Nike, Uber, J&J. Exactly. Yeah, so I left. So after a certain number of years at MetLife, where I helped many departments there, and I started to come up with, well, these are the tools that I'm now bringing to the job. I solved enough big problems in different areas of the company to say, this is where I start. This is what I look at next. These are the kinds of things that I'm trying to connect. And I realized that certainly I had what was the beginning of the architecture that I now talk about now. And then that Navy SEAL who had left MetLife a number of years before that had started a consulting firm of his own. And he said, hey, look, I'm starting to get big clients. Will you come and help me service them in the way that you do? And so that's when I first started to say, yeah, okay, I'll leave MetLife. I'll go start doing this kind of thing for other of the Fortune 50. And then I started to get clients of my own. And then I realized that's when I realized that what I have applies no matter what industry, no matter if you're making shoes or left-handed widgets, or you've got a service company, the same 10 fundamental disciplines run through every business. Okay. And it is the connection of those pipes that are what bring true harmony to the business. And that's when I came up with Harmonious Business Architecture. So
you work with all these big names businesses. But what exactly kind of like made you shift your focus from Fortune 500 companies to helping the entrepreneur?
So in one of those contracts, I want to be careful of NDAs, but I saved one of them $30 million a year It was going to be like ongoing for a little while. But let's just even take the first year. I saved them $30 million. Nobody cared. Nobody cared because it didn't move the stock price. It was a rounding issue for them. They had been losing that much for a while, and it didn't seem to matter. So if it's not going to move the stock price, they really didn't care. You work with an entrepreneur, and they say, God bless you. Now my dreams can come true. Now my kids are going to college. Now I can open a new location. I can hire more people. The world opens up for them. And I think that there is massive power in demystifying what business really is, teaching entrepreneurs, these are the things you need to understand at the 20% level that's going to get you 80% of the lift. Let's not look to big business and try to model what they're doing, because there's a lot of institutionalized nonsense that's mayonnaised in there and accounted for and hidden in because we're looking at it from the outside. And when you get down to it, anybody can run a business. Just because somebody's senior VP at one of these big Fortune 50 companies, you go, wow, they must know a lot. They don't know jack. They're as clueless as the rest of us. They put their pants on one leg at a time.
You said that. Let me guess. So what do they do? Like,
so here's where business went wrong. Can we speak hyperbolically and kind of
yes.
All right. So there was a time when business was fairly easy. Let's go to the Middle Ages. Right? You had to deal with maybe the plague rats coming through your shop, but let's say you got a bakery. It's easy. Your marketing is just the fact that everybody can smell the muffins cooking. Right, baking. I guess it's baking. Mm-hmm. You smell the muffins baking. People talk about it. You need to now expand and hire somebody. Who do you hire? You hire the cobbler's kid, because you see him in church every Sunday and he seems like a decent kid. Not like that blacksmith's kid. He's a menace, right? So now you're starting to know who you're hiring. You can see your entire operation. Somebody's a traveling knife salesman or knife sharpener guy, and he comes through town and says, they'd like these muffins somewhere else. Now you got an external sales team, right? But once the Industrial Revolution came and we started to automate a lot of jobs, and the corporation itself started to grow at an exponential rate, and people couldn't see across the whole company, they started to feel like their certainty was gone, their importance, their sense of importance and belonging was gone. When you see people getting taken out and they're like, but Phil, I've got kids in college. You can't fire me. We started this company at the same time. Well, sorry, Gary, but the company's making the decision. My hands are tied. This is terrifying to people.
Yeah.
Right? So what do people do? They say, well, I'm going to put a stake in the ground, and I'm going to know everything there is to know about strategic planning. Let's say I'm going to tell this ship where to sail. And I'm going to own that space, and I'm going to make it really complicated, and I'm going to use 50 different tools and archaic language whenever I can, so I can really I'm going to own strategy. And then someone else comes in and she says, oh yeah, well, I'm going to own HR, because you can't do anything without the people. Good luck with that strategy without all the people. So I'm going to say who we hire and when we hire them, and I'm going to build the corporate culture. It's going to be fantastic. And then this guy says, I got you both beat. I'm going to own finance. And finance is going to have a seat at the table, and good luck doing any of the stuff that you guys want to do without the money. And then legal shows up with Latin, and we want to overcomplicate everything and say, you can't do it without a lawyer. I got to be here too. Now we have all these seats at the table. And this was how silos started to be created, and how we had these big, giant disciplines. And that's intimidating to people when they say, oh yeah, what do you do as an entrepreneur? What's your strategic planning like? So they either say, I'm going to do it because it's trite, and I'm not going to do what big companies do anyway. Okay, that part's good. Not having a plan. That's not good. Or they say, well, yeah, my plan is making it rain, bro. Like, I'm not going to keep it complicated. All right, well, that's also not a plan. So there's elements here to strategic planning that are really important. So what's the 20%? So that's what I started to do. I started to unpack and say, if I look at the essence of these energies, and I say, well, what must happen? For example, we'll stay with strategic planning. If you took the top 30 strategic planning tools that are out there in the world, I've used every single one of them. I've seen every single one of them fail, and I've seen every single one of them succeed. Well, why? Well, they don't all apply in the same places, to the same industries, at the same times, but you have to know all that. But if they didn't have core values, mission, and vision dialed in and proliferated throughout every other discipline, then they were leaving money on the table, or their tools weren't going to work, their strategies were going to be misaligned, or they'd make some big honking error, like they'd throw their brand promise out the window because suddenly they wanted to engage in a social cause, let's say. I'm not saying whether I agree with, I'm using Bud Light there as an example. I'm not saying whether I agree with the cause or not, right? You can agree with it. You cannot agree with it. I'll tell you who didn't agree with it. Their customers, because they destroyed themselves by saying, we're going to ignore the fact that our brand stood for something to these avatars, and they're still expecting us to behave and look and sound that way. And anyway, so I took the 20% essence of each of the disciplines and said, let's now tell entrepreneurs it's okay. It can be easier. You've been told a lie. Big business and government, both looking to keep you out of the marketplace, have told you business is more complicated than it actually is. And that if you follow the right things in the right path, you can simplify things. You can stay true to the core of who you are. You can do work that lights you up, and you can effectuate change in the world. What's better than that?
Exactly. What's better than that? Yeah. I guess that's part of the harmonious business architecture that you actually implement.
So what we do then is we go through the 10 disciplines, and they're things like human resources, strategic planning. You can have different volumes of these, right? So if somebody said, I've got a $100 million company, I can't just do core values, mission, and vision. I say, no, of course not. You have a different level of volume of strategic planning that you need to do with a company of that size than, let's say, a solopreneur or, a husband and wife team with a taco truck. That business needs only a small amount of the strategic planning tools than a $100 million company, right? But you can't not have it. And you have to link that to the other things. So are these just words on a piece of paper, or are you hiring to those and evaluating people based on their demonstration of the core values in your business? Are you rewarding people based on those core values? Now we're proliferating that into the other things. Can I understand your core values without ever reading them just by looking at all of your marketing? No, it's wildly different. Okay, then that's misaligned. It's disharmonious. And your customers are going to get confused. They're not sure who you are. So let's shore that up.
So how it sets business up for long-term success? How does that help?
How does that help? So if you have an architecture and you know who you are, you want to stay. Are you specifically asking about? Are you asking about the whole architecture and how it helps? Or are you asking specifically with the strategic planning part?
How the harmonious business architecture helps in the long term to success?
Yeah. So it keeps you dialed in on, you have to, then that there are all these plates, all these disciplines must be touched and honored. And it gives you a rhythm and cadence for that. So we say, okay, we will make sure that each one of these is touched at the proper volume. And then we have our architecture. Anything new that we want, we know where it goes, how it attaches, and how it works to everything else in our business. It gives us a common language around business. It helps us to, if people I meet a lot of people who go to masterminds and other conferences and things like that. They'll hear 6 different speakers and they'll come out of it and they go, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. Everybody gave me different advice. It all sounds like the same advice, right? It all sounds equally important. I got a million things to do. I'm overwhelmed. No. The person who talked about strategic planning, here's where it fits into the architecture. The person who talked about managing your people, that goes here in the architecture. And now you can, and then if you see something and you look to bring it in, you go, well, that's kind of disruptive to what I'm doing. Yeah. So leave that one there. Gives you a way to parse any and all new information. Gives you a taxonomy, as it were, for your business. That's just one of the ways it helps. But it always makes sure that you're not out of alignment with too much volume in any one thing. Because what can happen is, you've been to these things. If you go to a marketing conference and half the people in there are marketers talking about marketing to marketers, and their answer for every problem is, well, you need more marketing.
Marketing.
That's it.
But I've been doing the marketing, it's not working.
And so that's an example of people, I'm comfortable. That's that siloed thinking that I'm comfortable in the marketing space. I want to own the marketing space. I'm going to just live, breathe, and die here. if you're an entrepreneur like that who gets lit up by the marketing aspect, that's fine. You can own that as one of the things that you're working on. But the other 9 disciplines are screaming for your attention, and they need somebody to be handling the things that are in there. So
awesome.
yeah.
Now that you have mentioned a lot of talk for a bit about disrupting current business thinking, what are dated businesses or business practice do you believe should be abandoned, and which should be like new approaches that should be actually pushed forward?
Oh, well, yeah. So on the disrupt, like 19 thoughts tried to come out of my mouth all at once. You see that? And none of them could get out. So I do think that we are overcomplicating things. I think that we're measuring too many things. You know, people say, well, you got to have KPIs. That we're measuring 100 things without really even understanding the essence of what we're measuring and why we're measuring it. And so that's why I don't call it metrics and analysis. I call it, or metrics or data, that kind of thing. I call it analysis, because if we can't analyze and understand what we're seeing, then it doesn't really matter how much data you're collecting. I've seen plenty of, and that happens in every business of every size. I have seen Fortune 500 executives sit in a conference room and listen to a 30-minute presentation with numbers and on every slide. And at the end, I go, "What do you think?" And they go, "Whew, yeah, we got stuff we gotta look at." No, you don't know what you were looking at.
No,
you have no idea what you were looking at. And so why measure it at all then? Let's get to the 20% of things that matter and align ourselves there. And the biggest thing that I tell people is I give them permission to do it a way that just feels better. If you're looking externally to yourself and you're not modeling it because you approve of where they are and where they're going, right? Because it is okay to say, there's that phrase, success leaves clues. So you can look at a successful company and say, I like how they're doing things. I'm going to take the parts that resonate with me, and I'm going to put together a beautiful business. You have permission to do that. And that's one. Second big disruptor is it's not your fault that this isn't all clear, because, again, I said there are forces that are trying to hide from you how easy it could be, because they want to take your agency away. They want you either not entering the workforce because they're big giant conglomerates and they want no more competition with them, what they've already managed to squeeze out of the marketplace, or I don't even know what the second part of that was. That's what they're doing, right? Or it's government saying, no, we want to be the font of all answers for you, and so you don't need to go and do that. Work where we tell you to work. Don't start your own business. Don't have your own agency in the world. So that's another big disruptive place that we spend time in. And then the third thing is you're not alone in those fears. There's 4 buckets of pain that I talk about that any problem that any entrepreneur is dealing with can fit into one of those buckets. And if it seems like it's all convoluted and it's all connected and it's not really clearly in one of those, it's because you fall into the same trap as every other entrepreneur, which is we're not told that there are delineations there, right? And that we're all suffering with those same things and those same pressures. And so it can be a lot lighter. And that's why communities and shows like yours are so necessary and needed in the world, because being an entrepreneur can be pretty lonely, and they need to hear other voices, that other people are out there struggling with these same things, and that some of it's stacked against them. And there is absolutely a way out through communities like this.
That's right. Thank you so much for the highlight. I think that the audience, as well as myself, have noticed that you blend this fun and functionality characteristic together, and you have fused them in a way that that actually shows on what you do. As I hear you speak in the way that you are passionate about what you do, but how do you create that balance between, managing those, or how do you actually help your clients to create that balance between the high pressures of business and kind of like not losing yourself?
and not losing yourself. Yeah, that's great. So part of what we do, so there are the disciplines that we do, but we could talk about the 4 fears. It's an acronym that spells fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so we walk through with them to say, what is the real thing you're chasing here? Because it's never what they say. So if, for example, they come and they say, I need more time. Oh, I need more time. Okay, that's great. That's 70% of the people who come to us say, give me my time. I need more time. When we say, okay, in 90 days, we'll get rid of roughly 60% of the stuff that you're working on that you don't need to be working on. You will get time back. We'll do that in 90 days or you get your money back. You got to do what we say. And the first thing that we're going to do is understand what you really mean by I need time, because it's one of the big 4 buckets and it can get very confusing. So I say, all right, if I gave you more time back, what would you do? Well, I'd work harder. So why? Well, because I need more money. Okay, so you have a revenue problem. You don't have a time problem. Okay? Or if I said I give you more time, I'm going to hand you 4 more hours. Would you spend it at work? No, I'd spend it at home. Because you want more work-life balance? No, those people drive me nuts. But at least it's better there than it is here, because this place is killing me. Oh, okay. So we have an operational throughput problem. There's sand in the gears. There's something at work because you don't want to be there. It's an avoidance thing. So it's not that you need more time. Or I say, so I'm going to give you 3 more hours in the day. What do you want? I want to be home just because I'm at that point in my career and I want some work-life balance. Okay, that is a time issue and we'll get you back more time, right? Or they'll say, I don't have enough time because I'm doing everything and I just need more hours in the day. Well, or I don't have enough time, I'm procrastinating. Well, that's either decision fatigue is starting to wear you down because you're not clear, or you're digging for the problem in the wrong place. It's actually over here. The symptoms are here. You keep trying to fix the symptom. You don't have the root of the problem. Or it's a recruitment of help. That's the R in fear. So it's financial pressures. I got to get more leads, more revenue, more earnings because baby needs a new pair of shoes. It's external problems. So this is the constant worry and fear of regulatory commissions, taxes. I don't have the right insurance coverage. My competition's breathing down my throat. Martin, another pandemic is coming. I can just feel it. Supply chains are crumbling.
It's going crazy.
we just had all the longshoremen go on strike on the shore. All the things I cannot directly impact, but are hunting me 24/7. That's keeping me up at night. Okay, that's a separate fear. Then there's the allocation of time. We talked about that one. And then the R is the recruitment of help. How do I get my wife on my side? Right? How do I get the right external vendors that are going to protect me, like a lawyer, an insurance broker, an accountant, et cetera, and so forth? How do I get a coach or a mentor like you, or a podcast I'm going to listen to? How do I build a community around me? How do I hire people and manage them well and inspire them and do all that kind of leadership stuff? And how do I delegate appropriately? Because we've seen that too, right? An entrepreneur with 5 employees and they're still doing all the work because they just don't know how to let it go and they don't know how to give things up. All of those dynamics, but they really just come down to those 4 tiles that we can sort of mix and match and say, here's what you're really trying to get, and here's what the problem is that's causing that. And then let's honor the discipline of the architecture and see what pipes have either not been built or just weren't connected properly. And then that flow comes and everything starts to seem to sing, and then your business is harmonious.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does, right? It's almost like I did it on purpose. Took me a while to find it, but that was just it. It was just observing, how am I fixing these problems when they're different industries, different size companies, the whole Megillah. How is it? Because there's some fundamental truths that run through all of them, and we just have to honor those and connect them. And it's once you see it, it's hard to unsee it.
Yeah. So what has been one of the most rewarding transformation that you have seen in a business that you have worked with? And what are some lesson learned that our audience can take away?
Oh, we have a client right now who is just phenomenal. She's already doubled her business. We'll be tripling it soon. And and really it's just the lesson there was she resonated with our message. We understood her mission and vision. And she said, I've tried it. I know that I'm not seeing something. If you can help a Nike or an Uber, I don't have any problems that are more complicated than something you've seen. So I'm going to get out of the way. I'm just going to listen. You just tell me what to do and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to trust you. And I can do that for 90 days. I said, great. And then she just did everything we told her to do when we told her to do it and how. And I'm not saying I don't want people to ask questions. Mm-hmm. She asked tons of questions, great questions, but she was willing to show up and do the work. And anytime that we said to her, on this particular thing, you might be the problem. I'm the problem. You're the problem. And she'd get it. And that was it, right? Because once it's always scary. We obviously vet. Anybody can take our diagnostic. And then if they want to talk to us about how we can help them solve for the problems that the diagnostic highlights for them, we can talk about that. But I'm always vetting them as well. And when I get entrepreneurs who come in or business owners who come in and say, yeah, so let me tell you the problem with every single person I got working for me. It's like, oh, okay. There's a common denominator here, and it might be sitting in your chair right now. And if they're willing to look in the mirror and have that conversation.
Is it small?
Let's go.
Is it small?
Is what small?
You said that it's sitting in my desk right now. It might be sitting in my desk. So
yes.
Are we talking about the small little thing that we carry with us everywhere?
Which one would that be? The phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem too. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That. So one more question.
Yes.
What are the most common roadblocks you're introducing in entrepreneurs today? Like, what is like the most common?
I think so. The biggest roadblock for them, a very frequent problem we see when people say, I have no time, is here's how it happens. I like to call this the 4 Ds as a way to clear the deck for yourself, to have the room to breathe, to even see what's going on in your business. And to do that, you have to do this in the right order. You have to delete anything if you can first. New ideas come in. Can I delete this thing? My partner says, hey, we should probably sell surfboards to cats. Brandon, I don't think that sounds like a good idea. That's a horrible idea, right? So we're not going to do that. But so can I delete it? Can I delay it? No, we can't delete it. We have to do this thing. Great. Can we delay it? No, there's a subpoena attached to it. We got to do it. Right? That didn't happen, right? But no, we have a deadline. We have to do it. Okay. Can I delegate it? Brandon, can you do it? Can you give it to somebody else? No, this one has to be you. Then and only then do I do it. And does it go on my calendar? Entrepreneurs do the opposite thing, which is they try to do everything themselves first. They start this business. They're trying to do it all. They get overwhelmed. Then they just shove a bag of the work that they can't stand. It's just a mishmash of the things that they don't want to do. And they shove it to their cousin or something because he's out of work. Right? Let's just let him do it. They find some other people to take the load off of them. Then they get an actual employee. And every bit of it is just pushing the work off to somebody else. Things then naturally get delayed because nobody can get to them. We've lost sight of what we were trying to do here, what the mission is. Then they just get deleted eventually because they just die on the vine and it doesn't get done. And so the biggest hurdle is this mentality of spending a lot of time trying to save some money. When successful business spend money in order to try to save time, because money is endless and infinite and you can get more of it. I know it doesn't feel that way when it's a struggle to find it, but trust me, it's out there. It is there. Time, there's only so much of it. And we don't know how much is in the bank balance. We don't know how much we're playing with. Right?
Exactly.
So look both ways when you cross the street, eat your vegetables. Maybe we can extend this thing a little bit. We don't have how much time we have left. And there's only so much, right? There's only so much in a day. We're not getting any of it back.
That's right.
So spend the money, save the time, get your head above water, and then you can start to see what's causing the dissonance in your business, and you can get it back to a place that flows and feels a little more fun and lights you up when you're there.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Sean. You've been incredible. So you talked about the the bad assessment.
The
We call
bad.
it bad.
I call it the
So,
bad, the business
the bad.
architecture diagnostic. I like my acronyms. Yeah.
And I love it too. So where they can actually get a hold of it.
So if they go to whatif.com, and there it is with a D, WHAD, as in disruption, if.com, comes right up. It takes 8 minutes. If it takes a little longer, you're probably overthinking it. Go with your gut. There's sliders. You can take it more than once if you want, but take that. It'll show you where the questions aren't going to be obvious. That's really why I'm asking some of them, but it'll show you the area of your business where maybe something's hidden and maybe that's causing you a problem that you didn't even know that's where the problem was.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And where people can connect with you.
So they can connect there, or they can go to our Facebook. There it is. Look at you all over it.
I got you. I got you.
They can connect with me there.
Awesome. So the links are going to be on the description of this episode. So feel free to go and connect with Sean and get the assessment done. I know I will be doing mine soon. I want to know if there's anything that is disrupted and needs to be actually disrupted to get it better. Right. Yes. I love that. I love your passion and commitment for what you do in helping entrepreneurs. So thank you so much for everything that you do. Thank you for your time in coming in and sharing your story with us and how you're helping entrepreneurs today. Don't forget to connect with Sean. So any last words before we leave?
No, just I want to say thank you for you doing what you're doing, for trusting me to come play in your sandbox with you. Thank you.
We built a castle. We built a castle today. So
there we go.
You see.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And like I always say, don't forget to unlock your potential and be fearless. I'll see you on the next.